Hello, and welcome to Mind Your Head, a space for people to share their stories, talk openly and honestly about their own mental health challenges, and to give some listeners some comfort in knowing you're not alone. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Gubbi Gubbi people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples. We honour their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture, and recognise their invaluable contributions they make to our communities. Always was, always will be our Aboriginal land.
Welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Head. This week joining me in the studio is a very special guest, Kyle Noke. Kyle is a former UFC professional fighter with an impressive record of 33 fights and boasts 22 wins. Kyle has made a name for himself in the mixed martial arts world. Beyond his fighting career, Kyle had the privilege of working with legendary Steve Irwin as his personal bodyguard. Kyle's dedication, resilience, and outlook on life inspires everyone around him. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Mind Your Head, Kyle. Absolute privilege to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing me on.
That's all right. Now I was talking to Sophie off camera that I found myself sort of recently deeply captivated with the world of professional fighters. I think I watched a little bit sort of like back in the day. I remember watching like Anderson Silva and BJ Penn and like Randy Couture and all those sort of fighters. But I think when sort of Conor McGregor came onto the scene, it made me pay attention. It was pretty hard not to sort of watch it when he was fighting. And even like the complexities of fighting. I mean, like the sport is so much more about the psychological warfare as it is about, I guess, the physical combat. And the mindset and mental preparation side of fighting is something that I would love to chat to you about today. But firstly, can you share what your upbringing was like and how that influenced, I guess, you pursuing a career in professional fighting?
Mm-hmm. My upbringing was pretty tough. I grew up in Dubbo, New South Wales, so far away from the Sunshine Coast. No beaches, no ocean, no nice women to distract you. It was a rough upbringing though. We spent most of our time just playing footy on the weekends, trying to stay out of trouble, try not to get in too much trouble with the parents and stuff like that. But, it was good. I had three brothers growing up. We always used to fight each other all the time, wrestle.
Get pretty heated.
Yeah, I guess that's where my fight career began. Was my oldest brother Nelson and I used to watch Bruce Lee movies, Van Damme movies, and as soon as it was over, we'd be out the front sparring each other and practicing everything we just saw. So
that's what I used to do with my brothers. Like I'm the middle.
Yeah.
And we used to. It wasn't so much like all those Bruce Lee movies, but we used to get into WWE heaps. Yeah, so we had a trampoline at the back. Yeah. So I'll be like getting my little brother to lay on the trampoline, and I'll be jumping off the corner of the roof, just feeling like fucking getting the shoulder in and stuff, getting the elbows in. That's what it's sort of like. That's what we did when we were a kid.
To your big brother or little brother?
Little brother. Yeah. I wouldn't do it with the big brother.
Nah.
I was always getting the little brother. It was always the test dummy. Hey, Fletch, go lay here for a sec. Yeah.
I got one of my brothers is 11 months older than me.
Yeah.
We've got Irish twins, we're that close, but we just fought all the time growing up, and my oldest brother has always put us against each other all the time. Makes us put boxing gloves on and box each other. And
you just sit back and watch.
Yeah, he just antagonises both and then let us go.
So what sort of footy did you play? Is it league down there or is it union?
I played league and union. Started with league, and then when I got to about 12, 13, started playing both because I just wanted to play more sports because, like I said, in Dubbo, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter time, it's cold. It's not snowing, but there's cold coming off everywhere, so it's freezing. So you can't swim in the river, you can't do anything, so you just play footy. Yeah. So I ended up playing league on the Saturday and union on the Sunday, and I played inside centre for both.
Did you?
Yeah, I was fast.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Plenty of fights, playing footy. I can imagine country footy's fucking a bit like that, especially back when we were sort of growing up. It was if you don't win the game, at least you win the fight at least. Yeah,
that was exactly.
Was it? Yeah.
We had one of my best mate, Martin Cameron. He played hooker, and when we got to about 14, 15, that's when we really started fighting a lot. And we get to a point in the game, be like, oh, fuck this, we're not going to win. Marty, blow it up. And be like, righto, so we could just go into the next scrum or whatever it was and just lift the other hooker, and the next minute beyond we'd all fly and have a massive fight.
Fuck, that's funny because when I got a contract to play rugby over in New Zealand, when the season was finished, you had to go back and play club footy. Mm-hmm. And I remember like there was 5 teams in the city and there's 5 teams in the country, and they're like rural country. And I remember our captain was telling us like, we're going down to this country team. Just a heads up, it's fucking rough out there. And I was like, oh, whatever, like it won't be too rough. And he was just like, nah, man, it will be a fight. It'll be at least one fight. And I mean, we were losing. They're a pretty shit team. We had a good team. We were losing. And our old school captain, he would have been like 38. Played in the front row, and he was like, there was a scrum, there was a sort of knock on, and there's a bit of time out. We're about to pack a scrum, and we all got together, and my captain, I was 20 at the time, and my captain was like, all right, we need something to change. We need something to go our way. When the scrum packs, just look at your opposite player and just tee off on him. And before I had a chance to think about it, everyone's like, yep, sweet. Yep. And I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here? And the scrum packs, and it was like cattle dog. You know, back in Origin, you yell at cattle dog. It was like that, and everyone just grabbed each opposite player and just went at it. And this fullback's looking at me, and he's nodding his head. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. I've come out. My scars healed a little bit, but I've come out with a fucking like split eye, and like this old fella, like I was bottom of a ruck, and this old Kiwi fella, just stood on my face with his metal studs and just like twisted into my cheeks. And I was like, what the fuck? And my captain was like, I told you, bud. But after the game, that old Kiwi fella, he was the first one to come up to me, shake your hand, buy you a beer, and be like, welcome to the, like New Zealand club rugby. And I was like, fucking, what a shock this is. That's
like us growing up too, though. Like I said, we fought on the field, but straight after, everyone would be talking to each other and having fun. It was
nothing personal or grubby or anything. It was just like
part of the entertainment. It's part of the sport.
What was your relationship like with I know you mentioned you're pretty close with your brothers. What's it like with your mum and dad growing up?
Very close. Mum still lives. She lives up here with us now.
Oh, yeah.
She's around. All my brothers moved up to the Sunshine Coast from Dubbo. Dad came up for a little while, hated it, went back to Dubbo. He's a country man. So,
really? Hated it?
I didn't like it too much, so he went home. But Mum, she wanted to stay, so she stayed.
Yeah.
But very close to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how were you as a young kid in Dubbo? Would you get into schoolwork, or was it pretty much? Because I was terrible at school.
Yeah, me too.
I went to Mountain Creek, and it was sports school. So I fucking changed I was going to the army after school.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, fuck this. So I changed all my subjects, had to do English and maths. So I did like the easiest English and like social maths.
Yep.
Changed all my subjects to sport.
Yep.
So my last year at year 12, I think Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, the way it worked out was just all sport.
Yep.
I did volleyball, basketball, touch,
Yeah.
like swimming, tennis, anything. I did surfing.
Yep.
Had to meet down at Alex and do surf class at Mountain Creek.
That's insane.
I was like, how fucking good's that? Like that was and all my mates in year 12 were like stressing about OPs and all this sort of shit. My year 12 was the best. I was surfing every morning for schoolwork, getting graded.
I failed in year 10. I got, my report was E, D, and the rest E's again.
Yeah.
And I failed PE. Phenomenal, like sport. I played every sport, basketball, football, everything, right? But I never went to school.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I hated school. I couldn't sit still long enough. Like I must have a little bit of something, but I just,
bit ADD,
undiagnosed. School just wasn't for me, you know. I'd meet my friends at school and we'd go to the river, even grade 7 and stuff. I remember wagon school in grade 3 and 4.
Yeah, right.
Me and my brother Adam, that was 11 months older than me, we'd see your mum, see your dad, and we'd walk out the house, climb on the roof, and we'd sit there and wait for him to leave. As soon as they leave, straight back inside, kick back, and then we'd be at the back playing basketball all day. And so one time, Dad did come home, and we were on the roof. Yeah. So he left and come straight back, and he must have been doing the same thing. Tricking mum. And he went straight back inside. Me and Adam on the roof, like, fuck, when's he going to leave? You know, it's like we were up there till like 12, 1 o'clock in the stinking hot summer in Dubbo.
Fuck, that's funny.
And after a while, we had to climb down. Dad was like, all right.
Yeah. So when did you make the move to Sunny Coast?
I moved up here when I was about 16, 17. Me and my best friend were going to move to the Gold Coast, and Mum's like, don't move with him. She said, if you just wait another 6 months, I'll move up there with you and we'll go to the Sunshine Coast. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'll get Mum to come up, then I'll get an easier life then. So me and my mate were supposed to move up with Mum, and he pulled out at the last minute. So me and Mum first came up, and then my brothers started coming up.
Was that your first time to Sunny Coast? So?
Yeah, and then I ended up here for about a year or two, and I loved it, but then went back home. Don't know why. Went back to Dubbo for a couple more years and then moved back up again when I was 21.
Yeah, right. You would have been a bit of a shock when you came up here, eh?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. It was a whole new world to me.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
So what did you do for for work and stuff? When you first came up?
When I first came up to the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
When I first came up, I was 16. I think I'd done a pre-apprenticeship plumbing course, and I was going to do that, but didn't end up pursuing anything past there. Went back to Dubbo, was doing Ozstar installation, back to the abattoirs, on the railway for a little while, and then got sick of the railway. I said, fuck this, I'm going back to the car. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I was 20 years old, 8 days on, 6 days off on the railway.
Yeah.
Just slogging my guts out. I enjoyed it. I loved the hard work.
Yeah.
Like I love working hard, but I was in country towns all across New South Wales, just constantly everywhere. And then I kept on thinking about Mum up the coast. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing down here? I'm going back to the coast. And Mum had just brought the charcoal chook house in Mooloolaba.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So I was like, I'm going to work up there. Fuck this. So yeah, just packed up and left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you always fighting?
Always fighting.
Like growing up and like even,
Yep.
did you ever think like, oh, I should probably fucking train and give this a fucking go or something?
I was, my dad's a big boxing fan. Dad used to do boxing when he was younger. Dad's big on, my whole family's big on fighting.
Right.
Yeah. I even remember going to watch Dad play football when I was younger, and the very first kickoff from the very first game, he caught the ball. He's a forward. He caught it, and he ran up, and right before he got to the opposition, he chucked the ball on the ground, grabbed his opposite prop, and just boom, and blew the whole game up. So he loves fighting. So we grew up. I got pictures of me and Dad like sparring and stuff when we were younger, and like my brother's refereeing and stuff like that.
He wouldn't have been easy on you too. He
No,
would have,
hard, yeah.
So you grew up sort of, I guess, accustomed to that violence, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. So when you made the move to Sunny Coast, when did you get into MMA, I guess? Was there a point where you got into it and said, oh, fucking, I love this?
Yeah, I remember watching MMA when it very first came out. I mean, like UFC 1 and 2, and I would have been young. I remember it scaring the fuck out of me on TV, going, that's nuts, you know. And then a couple of years later, when it did come to Sunshine Coast, it would have been around UFC 10 or something like that, and I started hiring the videos from the shop and going home and watching them, going, this is fucking awesome. Like, I want to do this. Yeah. And I was looking for something to do in between playing footy. And my mate at the time, Tony Green, he was doing MMA, and I didn't know he was doing MMA. He was just at the gym lifting weights, and because he used to be a pro bodybuilder.
So it would have been huge then.
Yeah, he was massive, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come train?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to come train. I want to get big and strong too, so I can, fight better and everything."
Yeah.
And he goes, "All right, just bring a t-shirt and a pair of shorts to train, and we'll go." And I'm like, "Of course I'm going to wear a fucking shirt and shirts." I thought I was going to lift. Anyway, he picks me up, takes me to the gym, and I get there and everyone's doing this. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And my first session, I was tapping people out and just picking everything up real quick. And I was like, fuck, this is awesome. I want to do this from now on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So where did you train out of? Was it up on the coast here?
Yeah, the Sunny Coast was on Chambers Island. His brother Mick Green used to rent Chambers Island Hall out.
Oh, that community hall. I've had a few fucking birthdays at that community hall.
We used to throw mats on there and just go at it.
Do they still do that now, do they?
No, they've gone up. The Greens have gone to Harvey Bay now.
Oh, have they? Yeah. Oh, that's a nice little spot, eh?
Yeah, but they're up there, and he's got like a big, Michael Green's got a big, massive wellness centre up there. Not massive, but he really dedicates himself and giving to kids and giving to
underprivileged kids and stuff like that. Oh, I love that.
And teaches them martial arts and teaches them strength and courage and everything through martial arts. Yeah. And that's his life's goal. That's his, that's his purpose.
Yeah, I love that. So when you started, was there a point where you realised like, oh, I wouldn't mind having a fucking pro fight? Like,
I wanted to do it straight away.
But, did you?
Yeah, and we were only about 2 or 3 weeks after I first started training. My mate Tony, he was like, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to have a fight?" I'm like, "Fucking oath, I want to have a fight." And he's like, "All right." And it was probably 3 or 4 weeks after that, I had my first fight. And
3 or 4 weeks of just training with him, and then he got you into a...
Yeah, it was at a time, because that was only certain days a week we could train at Chambers Island. Yeah. And the rest of the time it was down in Tony's mother-in-law's basement type thing with like 4 mats on the ground, so 2 meters by 2 meters squared, and we'd just rolling and fall off, and that was my training camp for the fight.
That's sick.
Yeah, and I remember going into the fight, I wasn't nervous, I wasn't anything. It was like probably the calmest I've ever been for any fight in my life.
Fuck, I was going to ask, that was my next question, was how are you going to feel? Because like, you would have had so many fights previous to this one, and I would have thought maybe you would have been, because it's a, I guess a refereed, pro fight, you would have been a little bit nervous, but loved it.
Cool as a cucumber. I wish I could be that calm for my whole fight career.
What did it get a little bit?
It started. But yeah, the more you, like, especially after you have a few wins, there's that pressure on you now. Everyone's like, oh, he's the next, he's good, he's going to be the next best thing, he's everything. You start believing, you start knocking your first few opponents out or doing really well, and you think you're going to do that to everyone, and you start getting more and more nervous.
It's the real life of the fight
Get on
game,
the-
mate.
the-
So the
the
roller
roller
coaster,
coaster,
isn't
yeah.
it? The highs and lows.
Yeah.
I felt the same too. Like when I started making sort of teams and then going higher and higher, the love, not so much the love, but like the carefree feeling of playing rugby sort of went out the window. And then it's just like when you started getting paid to do it, you're like, oh fuck, like people are paying. Now I've got to like take it seriously. But then I was like, I was taking it seriously before. I was just having more fun. Like I was actually, the more fun I had, the better I played.
Yeah.
But for some reason I had the same thing. Like when I sort of started getting paid good money to play, I started getting real nervous before games, and I started like going, oh fuck, like have I done everything right? I started getting a bit anxious, and I was just like, what the fuck? I remember my dad saying to me, he was just like, mate, it's just like back in Maroochydore when you used to play, like just think of that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, you got a couple of more people watching, and maybe that's your job now. But like, don't think of it as your job. You're just going out there and just playing footy.
Yeah, I wish someone grabbed my money when I was fighting, because you know the same thing. You get paid more and more, and after a while, it's like, oh fuck, I care more about the money than the performance. So I wish someone just took it all and just gave me a wage each week. Like, here's enough to live off. Here's enough of this. You want anything else? Come see us. But, you know,
exactly.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't even have to worry about all the money.
Yeah, and it's hard, like dealing with that pressure too. How did you go with dealing with it? Because I really fucking it really got to me at the end. Like I'm not too sure back when sort of you were fighting, but when I was sort of coming through, you know, you'd have a team psychologist, but you would only go there if you had something wrong, if you had something, you know, you had to deal with. But for nowadays, like I talk to some of my mates now that are playing professionally, and it's like, if you don't go to a psychologist, then there's something wrong. Like how the narrative is just switched, and everyone's got mindset coaches, and everyone's got, you know, little information and tools and tips to, you know, be at your peak all the time. How did you deal with it?
I probably wasn't too bad. We did have like a mindset guy in our gym.
Oh, you did,
that help us out, and I saw him once. He's like, "You're right." Just I never got too nervous. I never got too anything else with fighting. You know, for me it was. I learned a long time ago from one of my coaches here in Australia, and I forget his name. I wish I knew he remembered his name, because he was very influential on me and helped me a lot. But he told me before a fight once, when I was getting really nervous, he's like, you got to remember it's also excitement as well. Like, there's a lot of excitement, and all of your excitement and nervous energy comes from your stomach here. So if you just feel that excitement energy and you're nervous, you're going to think, oh, it's always nerves, and that's going to eat you up. But if you remember that you're also excited for what you can get in there and do, then it starts relieving that nervous, and you start realising that's excitement too. And I'm about to do what I've been training my ass off to do this whole time. Yeah,
it's changing that thought around it too. That's exactly what I got told, because I was getting real nervous, and someone said the same thing to me. It's excitement. Like, do you love playing footy? I was like, I fucking love this. He was just like, good, we're all nervous. Like, everyone's excited to play. And it's just like, my thing that I fucking hated was the 5 or 10 minutes before the whistle blew. If you're you've done the warm up, and you go back into the sheds, and you've got like 5 minutes to yourself. They're the worst. I'm like, just fucking blow the whistle. Let's just go out there. And the ref's like, no, not yet. Or we do a huddle. Everyone likes chatting to each other and shit. I'm like, fuck this. Like, just take me out there. And as soon as that whistle blew, all sweet, nothing. You know, no nerves at all. Never felt the pressure when I was playing, but before the game, man, I was just like, I hated this.
That was me walking backstage. I'd be pacing.
I'd
same.
Like,
just hurry up and come fucking knock on the door. Come get me. Come fucking get me. Otherwise, you're sitting there going, when's my time? When am I fighting?
You start overthinking shit and stuff like that.
When it's the fight before my fight, because you don't know when it's going to end. It could go 25 minutes, or it could go in 1 minute. It could
30
be knocked
seconds
out.
Or something.
So if you're not ready, if you're expecting it to go long, and you're sitting back there like, oh no, I've got a bit of time, then the next minute's like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, you're on. You're like, what the fuck?
Oh, so you have to be ready just in case there's a fucking 30-second knockout. But if it doesn't, you're ready for that whole fight. You're just like...
So I'd be walking, and they'd be like, sit down, Kyle. Like, no. Like, fucking come knock on the door. Come and get me already. I'd be looking at the door, walking down, looking at the door again, walking back and forth, back and forth. Just fucking come already. So that way, when they did, whether it was short or long, I'd be like, you're on. All right, let's fucking go.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to stay ready the whole time.
Stay ready, And, well, Simo's told me a little bit about sort of your story and stuff. And when were you introduced to Steve Irwin? Was this early in your fighting career, I guess? And how did that come about, working with him?
It was early in my fight career. I was probably about 20. I was a late starter. I was 22 years old when I started fighting, almost 23.
Yeah.
That was in 2022. No, 2002,
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm old, give me a chance. So I'd been fighting for 3 or 4 years, and then my coach at the time, Dan Higgins, was already working for Steve Irwin.
As his security?
He was his personal security. He started off cleaning Steve's toilets.
Oh, right.
And he was doing MMA, and Dan Higgins been doing MMA in Australia for years before that. But Steve comes flying into the toilets one day on his motorbike. He's like, "Hey, you clean toilets for me, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you like doing that?" He's like, Dan's like, "Yeah, I love it. You know, I've got a job. I'm happy." He goes, "Do you want to come on my security team?" He's like, "If you need me, why?" He's like, "I want to learn how to fight as well." So Dan was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll come in your security team." So Dan started working for him for a few years and just like teaching him some mixed martial arts and stuff like that. And then Steve was at a point where he's like, "Oh, I need someone else to bring someone else on. Do you know anyone?" And Dan asked me at the time. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll come work for Steve." So I went out for a job interview. The HR and everyone come in and they're like, "You're going to be earning this amount of money." And Steve's like, "No, he's not. He's on this wage." And they're like, "Okay, then you're going to have to wear a uniform." He's like, "No, he's not. He's my personal security. We don't even need you anymore." So he kicked them out.
Did
He's
he?
Like, yeah, and he's like, "Right, now they're gone. Let's talk about fighting. What are you doing and what's going on?"
What a
and
proper
we're
lad,
going to
eh?
do this.
Yeah.
And he loved it. So that was my first introduction to Steve.
I mean, like, for many of us, you know, we knew Steve Irwin and the Crocodile Hunter from all the TV shows and this larger-than-life character. And I always looked at him, we all looked at him as this invincible, you know, icon of Australia. What was it like getting to know him on a personal level? And is he the exact same person off the camera that he is on? Like,
Yeah, he's a very passionate man. And he loved people around him that were passionate. I guess that's why he liked being around us as well, because he knew that we were passionate about our sport. Same with everyone that was at the zoo, you know, he had the right people in the right jobs. The people that were handling the snakes were passionate about snakes and everything like that. But he was so good to be around. He's so influential. He made me want to be more passionate about my job. He made me want to do, really pursue my career a lot more. But same as he was off camera. Except for he swore a little bit more.
did he?
I hate to tell everyone, but yeah. So the crikeys and all that, so he wouldn't say fuck and all that on TV.
That was his catchphrase.
Yeah. But some of my favourite days at the zoo was when Dan and I used to work. So he'd have one of us available to him all the time at the zoo. We'd work, have some different days off. But my favourite days were where it was just me and him at the zoo, and we'd train in the morning. Then afterwards we would sit down. He built us a full-size cage at the zoo, mind you, so we could train, yeah. But my favourite days were sitting down after training, and me and him would just talk for hours, and he'd tell me stories about when he was younger. And
he would have a lot of knowledge and stuff, eh? And he seems like a man of integrity. Like, he would have such good principles, and wouldn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. What's it like? What's it like teaching him to fight? Because I heard that he was actually a pretty good fucking.
He was awesome.
Was he?
Oh, he's same height as me.
Yeah.
Back then I was fighting at 77 kilos. He was 100 kilos, so he's a big man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was awesome. Like he was a sponge. He absorbed it all. He really wanted to learn about it.
Yeah.
You know, I've told this story many times, but he, even at training, he'd be like, "You know what? I'm not feeling all this technique. You know, you're like sharp and everything." He said, "But what happens if someone's brawling you? What if someone comes swinging?"
What, like windmill?
Yeah.
Windmill.
And me and Dan are like, "Try it then." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm going to come at you swinging, and you show me how technique works." And we're like, "Righto." He comes in swinging, and I don't know, I think it might have been Dan sparring at the time, and Dan's like, jab, 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 drops him. He's like, "Oh, all right." It's my turn, yeah. He's swinging at me. He's like, jab, 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 drop him again. And then after a while, he was like, "Yeah, all right, I can see how this works now. We'll go back to technique."
Well, he needed evidence as to why we're training technique.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And same he said to Dan one day, he's like, "Hey, I'm not feeling these body shots. Like, I don't respect them." And Dan's like, "All right, cool." He said, "If you can, drop me with a body shot." So Dan's like, "Right." I said, "They're sparring," and Dan dropped him. And the same thing. After a while, he got up and he went, "Oh, I know what that feels like now. I can respect it."
So were you training him for a fight? Like, did he want to have a fight? Did he?
He did want to have a fight.
I'm sure his management wouldn't have liked that,
No,
would they?
his producer didn't want it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But he originally wanted to fight Vin Diesel. Yes.
What?
No, Wesley Snipes might have been.
What, a fucking
celebrity? He had to have someone that was at his level, right?
Oh, a notoriety.
Yeah.
And
He wanted to do a charity fight.
Oh, nice.
Because he couldn't have a professional fight. Because
Yeah.
he said, "Well, let's raise as much money as we can. Let's have a charity fight." And that was his way of getting it past the producers. But they still weren't on board. But he's like, "I'm not fucking doing it." He's ready to throw his whole career. They're going, "You're going to throw your career away, Steve." He's like, "I don't care. I want to have one."
Hey, man, he's ahead of the time because what it is now. What it is now is celebrity fucking fights.
Chuck him in there with Elon Musk. He would have mauled him.
I was going to say, Steve would have a bit of go about him, wouldn't he? Because he fucking wrestles, dinosaurs, modern day dinosaurs. Like,
he was, if he got on top of you and hold you down, you couldn't get him off. His strength at pulling you in, incredible.
What is it?
Yeah. He was strong like, as a normal person pushing away, but that pulling in strength was incredible.
So walk me through a day in the life as a, I guess, Steve Irwin's bodyguard or work his security team. Did you catch crocs? Did you catch crocs in?
Yeah. Done all that. I couldn't tell you a day in the life. I can tell you some of the days in the life because every day was different.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah. Like one day he rocks up and he's like, Kyle, you know how to surf? I'm like, no. He's like, do you want to learn how to surf? I was like, fuck yeah, I want to learn how to surf. He said, right, meet me at the beach tomorrow morning at 5:30. Okay. So the next day I meet him where he told me to meet him. He's got a surfboard for me in the west. He's like, right, let's go.
And that's a job.
Yeah. That was part of my job.
Part of your job.
Yeah. On the clock getting paid to learn how to surf. And then it took us out. It was a cyclone or something. The waves were massive. He's just like, just do this, just do that. Done, let's go.
Was he a good surfer?
Oh, fucking unreal.
Was he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he could surf.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What about catching crocs with him? Any close calls or anything?
Yep.
Yeah.
So same thing. Once a year, we'd go up to North Queensland in the Kennedy River and we'd catch crocodiles. And he was heading up the research on just everything about crocs, finding actually how long they dive, like went underwater for. Because before that, it was all just people just assumed they knew. So we used to put satellite trackers on them. So we'd catch them, put trackers on them, then we'd find out exactly how far they were swimming, how long underwater, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a close call for me up there once where this crocodile was kind of on a sandy bank facing the water and the croc's head was towards the water. And Steve had instructed everyone to move their bags from one spot to another spot and two people left their bags behind. So I'm on the head of the croc. I'm the last one to jump off. I got my hands over his eyes and Steve's like, Kyle, he said the team at the back, you run that way. Kyle, you see them bags behind you? And I looked. And the first thing I saw was these two bags sitting next to a tree. He's like, you run towards the bags. I didn't know the bags were up behind me. I only saw them two ones. And I'm like, cool. So I push off the croc's head and turn to run, and I don't run on an angle far enough away from his head. So this croc turns around and snaps at my leg. And it just took all the skin off the front of my shin there. So that's how close his jaw was to my leg. It just like, and just took the skin off.
Skin the shin.
As I ran away, like, ah. And then, so that's how close I was to losing my leg.
Yeah, right.
And then
did that rattle you, did
it?
Yeah.
Like at the time, I was all right. Like, fuck, you know.
Yeah,
I got away with one.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the very next croc. I was like, Steve's like, Kyle, you're on the head again. I'm like, all right. And then this time he's like, can you see where you're fucking running to? I'm like, yes. And then when we let that croc go, I was the furthest one away from the croc when I let go. I was the fastest one to get there. And then afterwards, Steve come over, he started laughing. He's like, you're fucking white as a ghost right now. I'm like, yeah, of course I am.
It scared the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Man, was there ever a moment like, even at that point there, or was there ever a moment with him that you just thought it to yourself, like, holy fuck, I'm catching crocs with Steve Irwin. Like, I'm just this kid from fucking Dubbo. Like, look where I am now. Like, what a wild time this is in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to think that all the time.
Yeah.
One of the times that really scared me, we were up there doing research anyway, and I don't know if you remember that time, there was a guy up there kayaking a couple of rivers up from where we were. Him and his wife were in a kayak together, and she was paddling. He had a stick with a rope and a bit of string on the end with a stake hanging off the end, and this guy was trying to film crocodiles coming out of the water and grab the meat, and there was a big croc in that area, and he was well known to everyone because he had a bit of his nose missing, so he had a really white nose. So he was trying to film that croc, and this croc was like 18 foot long. It was massive.
What was this?
And part of its tail missing, part of its nose missing, and 18 foot long.
What was this couple thinking?
I don't know. I don't know. But the croc come out of the water and grabbed mate, and unfortunately grabbed him right across there, flicked him in half in one flick. The wife swam to shore, so they came up to us because we were the experts in the area, and they're like, look, this guy's just been eaten by a croc. We obviously need to get rid of this croc now. We need to catch it. Can you come catch it for us? So we were like, yeah, no worries. We went and saw where the site was, where the croc was. We realised we couldn't get any traps into the area, so we built some traps back further away. And the problem with these big metal traps, they're called floating traps. We had to put them in the water and then get them to where the spot was. But to do that, we had to go through this narrow passage through the water, and there's all logs and stuff laying in there. So we built 2 traps, pushed one through, and we're standing in the water like with axes, knocking down trees and stuff, trying to get these traps through, making all the noise. I'm terrified.
Yeah, fucking bet.
And then we pushed this trap. There's about 10 of us pushed the first trap through, and then all the croc guys and all the guys that were supposed to do it, they waited up on the banks And Steve's like, let's go back and get the next one. They're like, oh, we'll stay here and make sure this one doesn't float away. And this and it was like me, Dan Higgins, the other security guard, Simon Bannister, a good friend of ours, and a couple other guys went back, got the second one. And that is the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life, is walking through crocodile water up to here when you've been making all that noise and letting the croc know you're here to push the second trap through.
After just taking someone as well.
After just taking someone.
Fuck me.
Anyway, we caught the croc and...
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So what do? You catch it, you relocate it? Is that...
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to kill it, but he did something else where he took it somewhere, let it live.
I was going to ask you that because I was like, I feel fucking terrible. Obviously, it's terrible, someone getting taken, but I would hate it for the crocodile to get killed after that.
Yeah.
Same with shark attacks and stuff like that. Like, I hate it when they start go hunting for these and they start just killing all these fucking sharks.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not the crocodile's fault.
No.
He's doing his own thing. The thing is, you obviously can't let it stay there because then it starts thinking of humans as food.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So relocation is the best. Get them out, get them somewhere where they can't be interacting with humans or where they can have a better life.
And that's another thing, like, your knowledge of crocodiles working with Steve, like, you would have known fuck all going into it.
Yeah.
And now...
Yeah,
you
we've got pretty good knowledge. Yeah. So we go up north. We up to the Cape once a year with a couple of mates.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and we go through all croc country fishing and driving, forward driving on the old telly track and stuff like that. Yeah.
Lucky they got you there then, eh?
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, like, Steve would have such good principles, and you mentioned that after you sort of train with him, you sit down and have these amazing chats with him. What was the most valuable lesson you learnt from working alongside him, or something that you witnessed that you carry with you in your personal life or even in your professional life?
Yeah, no, this is an easy one for me. And I've said this many times before, but just how much of a good father he was.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way he interacted with his children, the way he always had time for his children, the way he'd be in the middle of a meeting with these guys from Discovery Channel and like massive people in the world, and Bindi to come up and ask for something. He'd be like, hang on, guys, my daughter needs something. And he'd stop whatever he's doing and talk to her and say, all right, well, Daddy's going to do this for another 20 minutes or whatever, and then we'll go do that, doll.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Always putting his kids first.
Always.
Yeah, right.
No matter what, he always knew what they were doing around the zoo, where they were. He'd come and see him all the time. He was, you could see it in his, these kids just lit him up.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most important thing that I did learn from him, is just like how to be a good father, I guess. How to be there, present for your kids.
Being present, isn't it? Like, and it's so different nowadays when it's, we talked off camera before, like the cost of living, and it's just like, kids are out the door earlier than they ever been, and you're off to work longer than you normally, would have to, and it's just that connection and being around your kid. I remember you were saying you have Fridays off with
my kids,
with your kids. You just set aside one day where you can just actually be there present with them all the time.
We were Friday, Saturday, Sunday with them, but Friday me and my partner Brooke, we spend that day with our kids. Make sure they get enough.
I love that.
Yeah.
Were you still fighting? Were you still training, working with Steve? Were you going overseas? Or did you have to put things on hold when you were working with at the zoo there?
No, Steve was one of our biggest sponsors. He used to pay for us to go over to America all the time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he paid for us to go over there and train and get better. Yeah. Obviously, the better we got, the better we could help him. So
the better he got.
Yeah. So he used to, he'd send us down to the travel. They had their own travel agency in the zoo. And he'd send us down and go book a flight, go over. I'm going away for a couple of weeks. Do you want to go to America? I'm like, yeah. Because he's like, I won't be around, so you may as well fucking go do something. So he'd go down and book a flight to America. Like, yep, off I'd go.
How good's that?
Yeah, book a flight, be over to America for a couple of weeks, come back.
Did you get travelling with him overseas, or did he have his own?
Once he went overseas, he had someone else. The only place I went with him overseas, not really overseas, was Tasmania.
Oh, yeah.
But, when he went overseas, he had to have people with guns and stuff like that. And
oh, did he?
Yeah, like proper security guards.
Because it's funny, because we forget that, like, how much of a celebrity he is outside of it. Obviously, he's revered in Australia, and he was such an icon, but outside of Australia, man, like, he was a proper celebrity, wasn't he?
Yeah, we used to call him the celebrity. So, like, all the A-listers, whenever they come to Australia, they come to the zoo, they just want to meet him. So he's meeting everyone, like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Owen Wilson, Wu-Tang Clan, everyone. Just could not wait to meet him, yeah.
And that shows, like, when I see, like, Bob and like Bindi and stuff go overseas and stuff like that, they get the same treatment, don't they?
Yep.
Like, I see them on the Today Show and stuff, and everyone's just like can't get enough of them. And it reminds me of like when I used to watch Steve on the Today Show, and like how much they loved him over there.
Yeah, I love watching Robert now. Like he's you can see his mum in him a lot, the way he speaks and talks. But his hands, his gestures, everything is identical to Steve.
His body language and stuff, and that passion that the way he talks is just Steve, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't. Every time I look at him, I'm like, fuck, that's Steve. Like if I didn't see his face and I just saw his body and his hands, it's Steve all over.
Do you still have a connection there at the zoo with some of the people there? And
I talked to Chandler. I've been his husband quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We'll go back and forth. He's been asking me to help him train, and I'm just trying to find the time and get out there and help him out training. But I speak to Robert, not often, but
every now and again.
Every now and then, we'll message each other on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What a fucking crazy time of your life, eh? And like,
yep.
And I remember, like, sadly in 2006 when Steve passed, like I remember where I was. There was this old convenience store in Mooloolaba near the coffee club, next door Jello's there. And I remember I was at Manor Creek. You finish school at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had a part-time job 2 till 6.
Yep.
And I remember being in there, and some guy came in. He's just like, "Did you hear the news about Steve?" And I was just like, "Nah, what?" And he told me, and I was like, "Fuck off! Like, I don't believe it. Like, that can't be true." And like I said before, it's just like this guy that I thought was just always going to be around.
Yep.
Like, for me, he just never aged. Like, he was just going to be this dude that was like, never going to die.
Yep.
Where were you when you found the news?
I was in America at the time. I got a short notice. We were actually up catching crocodiles and putting the trackers on them. And somehow someone contacted the zoo. The zoo contacted us up north by a satellite phone, and I got offered a short notice fight in America, in Vegas. So this is before I was with the UFC. Excuse me. So, Steve's like, "Yeah, fucking take the fight. I don't care. I don't need you here. Go away." So he paid from a jet to come pick me up from out the middle of Lakeland National Park. They had like a little dirt runway. Flew me out of a private jet there onto another plane, went home. But 2 weeks after, so I was over in America for 2 weeks. And since I'd left, he'd left the research camp and gone down somewhere to film venomous snakes. And I'd been in America for 2 weeks training. My coach at the time, Greg Jackson, called me up and he told me the news. And instantly I laughed. I said, bullshit. He's like, "No, I'm serious." And I still didn't. I was like, "No." And then he's like, "Yeah, get online and have a look."
Because this is before like we had social media, so I was trying to figure it out, and like you couldn't see much online. You had to wait for the news on TV and stuff, and you're just like crazy.
I only had MySpace back then, I think.
Yeah, I had MySpace too.
But I had to get on all the websites and have a look, and then I was at a point even after I found out. Obviously, I was devastated. But then I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay and fight for him and have this fight anyway. And that was my first initial thought, because he loved it so much. I'm going to have this fight for him. And then I think the next day I started really thinking about it and going, I want to say goodbye to my friend, like someone who's been so important in my life. So I decided not to have the fight and fly home and get that chance to say goodbye that I would never get again. There's going to be plenty more fights. I can fight for him whenever. But I thought, I'll never have the opportunity to say goodbye again unless I go home for this funeral.
Something that you might regret later on in life, eh? And it seems like he was, one of your biggest supporters, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was. I wouldn't be here today without him. I wouldn't have had that exposure to go to America. I wouldn't be able to do
the opportunities and stuff.
To train full time.
And how much did the loss of Steve sort of impact you, and in what ways did Steve's passion and enthusiasm for life inspire you, I guess?
It inspired me a ton. Like I've said, I wouldn't be here, but I remember it was probably a year after I stayed at the zoo for another year, I think it was, but that really made me go, you know what, I need to move to America full time. I'm not getting a look in. The other companies in America, UFC and et cetera, weren't looking to Australia for fighters. So I thought I need to go over there and knock on the door and kick the door in, and thinking about Steve a lot really solidified that for me. Like, I need to chase my passion. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm passionate about this sport, but I'm not chasing it. I'm waiting for them to come to me. So that was really a kick in the guts for me to go, you know what, get off your ass, do whatever you can. So I sold my house, I sold everything, cars. Yeah, I had a nice little unit in Mooloolaba and right, like,
would have been worth a penny now.
To throw a rock to the beach almost. Me and my ex-girlfriend at the time owned it.
Yeah, nice.
And we were kind of rocky anyway, so I was like, you know what, I'm out. Give me, my share of the property, and I sold my car and house and everything, and did everything I can to get to America.
Went all in.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to get into the US market? Like, what's the process there? You know, you mentioned they're not looking in Australia. So for you to make it, is it to move over there? Is it?
At that time, it was, yeah. At that time, I think there was Elvis Sinisic who'd done really well in the UFC, but he was older as well, and he was way back in the early days. Besides that, there wasn't too many. There was George Sotiropoulos who just went on the Ultimate Fighter before me. So, we were kind of like I said, they weren't really looking to Australia for fighters. So I had to go over to America. They had 1 or 2 fights in different organisations, like one in Puerto Rico and one somewhere else. And then
what's it like?
Puerto Rico was
different
wild,
to the
UFC?
Man.
Yeah. I remember we got there and they're like, oh, we're going to have this platform where you come up from in the middle of the stage, but it's only like that high underground. So you had to squat down and then pretend you were coming up, and then once you got to a certain height, they'd lift the thing up underneath you.
Like those little entertainment entrance. You're just thinking, what?
And then we got in there because Puerto Rico is so humid that the whole
sweaty,
mats were just slippery. It's like fighting on ice. I remember I fought this guy Casey Escola and I push kicked him. And I was my back was against the cage. I push kicked him. I teeped him. He landed on the ground. He slid all the way across the ground to the other side of the cage. I ran over to do a massive punch on him, and as I'm just about to punch, my foot slips out, and I missed the punch completely. That's how bad it was.
What the fuck is happening here?
It's like a big slip and slide fight show.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned before, like, you know, going on Ultimate Fighter. Was that sort of the goal? I guess even now, really, is that to get exposure and get your sort of name out there? Is the goal to go in Ultimate Fighter? And I know there's, you know, the Dana White Contender Series they have now as well.
Yep.
Is that the sort of avenue to go down, is it?
Yeah, it's quite easy for fighters now, you know. They make a bit of a name here.
Yeah.
Go to Dana White Contender. The Ultimate Fighter's just starting to kick up again. But, yeah.
I used to love watching it back in the day. Yeah. I got around it so much.
I, to be honest with you, I never watched it.
Oh, didn't you?
I didn't watch the season I was on to get on the UFC.
Right.
I didn't watch the season I coached either.
Oh, right.
So,
how did you get on it? Like, what was that process like?
I had a couple of fights, and I got a good manager at the time that put my name forward for the show. And I didn't have to try out for the show. I guess my record sort of spoke enough for me to get in there. I had one interview with the producers. They flew me to Vegas, did my medicals, made sure I was all right to go. I had one interview and I walked in, big round table, everyone's sitting there and they're like, tell us a bit about yourself. And I just said, you know, who I am and that. They're like, do you drink beer? I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking Australian. Of course I drink beer. So we give our babies beer in a bottle instead of milk. And they're like, all right, get the fuck out of here. I was like, oh, fuck. So I walked out and then the guy's like, how'd you go? I said, yeah, they kicked me out. So what'd they say? I said, told them this and that. And they're like, you're in, you're good.
Well, they like you.
Yeah, they just want to know that you've got a personality and you can, you know, get in there and be a fucking wet fish.
Yeah. So they wanted a bit of entertainment in there.
Yeah.
So what was it like in there? Because, like, you know, being on I guess it's almost a reality TV show, like, but at the same time, like, you're living in that house. You know, I remember watching it back in the day and it's just like, fucking everyone's just getting on the piss at night and it's all that testosterone and the fucking big, you know, what is it, 15 alpha males in the house and they get on the piss and everyone just starts tonking on. Like, what was it like for you? Was it hard? Was it a hard thing to?
The hardest thing for me, I hated it for the reason that I hate fighting my friends.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're in a house together with no books, no nothing. They give you games to play, board games, so you can talk to each other, but I'd form friendships with these guys, and then you got to fight them. So I fucking hated that aspect of it. But I loved being away. I loved having no distractions. I loved not having a phone. I loved all that shit.
Just immersing yourself in that experience. Yeah.
Like that part of it, and the training I loved. But I hated being away from my original fight camp. I hated the fact that I had to fight friends at the end of the day. The first couple fights were good because you don't know anyone and you're still getting to know each other, so it's just kind of cool. But then after you start becoming friends with someone, it's for me, some people it's not hard, but for me it's very hard to get in there and try to want to hurt someone who you like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would have thought that was easy for you.
No, it's actually, once I like someone, I'm kind of soft.
It's hard to punch them.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, I don't have to hate them, but it's kind of morbid, but I really think about, like, if I'm going to elbow someone, like just crushing their skull into the ground and splatting them, like, and you can't do that to someone you like, right? No. Yeah.
We'll go into that a bit later. I'd love to know your fucking thought pattern when it comes to fighting. But how far did you go in that Ultimate Fighter?
In the first one, I won my original fight to get in there.
Yeah.
And then I won the next fight to get in there. I won the next fight in there, and then I got to the semi-finals or the quarter, whatever it is, I don't know. And then they pit me up against my teammate from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So not only was he someone that I was friends with in the house, but he's also a friend back home, one of my training partners.
Fuck.
And I beat him up in training all the time. I go in to sit down with Dana and Chuck Liddell and Tito, and they're like, all right, Kyle, who do you want to fight? I'm like, I don't care, I'll fight anyone, because I didn't want to give them a name.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you got to pick someone who you want to fight. And I said, honestly, I don't care. I said, I'll fight anyone. They're like, what about Chris McRae? And I'm like,
Yeah, not him.
I'll fight him.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I said, I'd rather not pick anyone. Like, I'll fight him if I have to, but I'd rather not because he's my. And Dana's like, why? I said, because he's my teammate back home. He's like, but he's got a sore leg. It'd be an easy win for you. I'm like, yeah, I know, but he's my teammate. I don't want to fight him.
Yeah.
And Dana's like, all right, get out. And then they come out and announce the fights later on. And Dana's like, Kyle versus Chris McRae. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, he fucking did that on purpose, didn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because Dana loves pitting teammates against teammates.
Why is that? More drama? Is it?
More drama, and he wants the fighters to think like it's about you. It's not about your team. It's not about anyone else. It's about you, which is kind of fucked because you need a team to get there. You can't go into a fight with not sparring anyone, not training with anyone.
And that's the thing that I think a lot of people who aren't involved in the sport don't realise, that it's not an individual sport. No. As I know, you're out there you're in the cage by yourself.
Yep.
But you don't get there by yourself.
No,
you have a whole team around you to help you get there.
Yep.
What was it like dealing with Dana? Is he
awesome?
Is he?
Besides that, he's fucking great. Yeah, he's awesome.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's what you see is what you get. Yeah, he's fucking. I've had a lot of good times with Dana. He's unreal.
Is he?
Yep.
Yeah, proper lad. Eh?
Yeah. I remember after the show had wrapped up filming for the first season I was on. He took us all out to dinner. They own the Palms, or the Fertitta brothers own the Palms, so they closed the whole Palms restaurant down for us. We had one big long table. They're like, order whatever you fucking want, I don't care. So after a while, the guy's like, hey, Dana, can I get a $300 shot of this whiskey? He's like, I don't give a fuck, get whatever you want. We're like, order them up, smash them. We all got like drunk back then. And then he took us to a strip club, and like it's called Spearmint Rhino or something in America. It's pretty flash. It's like $200 is the minimum chip you can have in there. And we get off the bus, and he's like, give us about 6 or 7 grand worth of chips each. He's like, hey, go and have fun. If you run out, come see me again.
That's the thing I always wonder, like the lifestyle of a UFC fighter, man. It's I feel like it's changed a lot since you were coming through, and it's almost glamorized now, and like it's the modern day rock stars. You know, and it's all the fame and the attention and the money, and I guess the girls that come with it. How hard is it to ignore the distractions and you know the highs and lows of it? Can you get swept up in that madness?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is hard, you know. It depends what your crutches are. You know, it depends what what's going to influence you. Like
what
some
your
guys,
triggers are.
I've trained with a lot of guys, and it could be the drugs that get them. You know, it could be the women that get them. Like John Jones, everyone uses him as a bad example. He's a phenomenal guy, right? Could you imagine being 21 years old, being thrown in the spotlight, telling me you're the next superstar of the UFC, you're giving you millions of dollars, your 2 brothers are NFL players, you know, like, what I know what I would have done at 21 years old. Probably exactly the same thing he's doing.
And not only that, though, for him to actually be dominant too.
Yeah.
Like for him to win is just, you know, you talk about ego as this bad word, but it's just like, it's fucking hard not to have that.
Yeah. When
you put on this pedestal, and not only did you're on this, you're actually flogging, experienced fighters.
Yep. Men that have been in there for a long time, and it's dominating everyone else. And John just goes there and makes it look easy.
Yeah, he does.
And they're telling him, you're the best. You're the best ever. You're the best and that. Like, here, you're a superstar. Here's all this money. Here's all this fame. Yeah. But don't do anything bad.
It's funny because...
Don't touch drugs. Don't do this.
I was a dickhead without all the fucking fame and money.
I say it to all my friends, like, imagine me at 21. They're like, no, fuck that.
Did you end up training with John or?
Yeah. John was one of my main training partners in the end. I was already established when John come to our gym, so I was in the UFC already.
Yeah. So what are you? Are you 44?
I'm 44 now.
So what's he, 30?
He's 30-something.
30-something. So
36.
36, maybe. Yeah, right.
But when he came to our gym, he was still reading Twilight books. He was a little, super scared to fight. But he used that fear to fight. That was his motivation. Yeah.
You didn't tell me you were fucking throwing John Jones around the ring.
No, fuck no.
No.
I submitted. So this is John Jones, right? He comes to our gym. Phenomenal at everything. You can wrestle, obviously. But say, I caught him in a triangle once, right? I've only done it once. Submitted him in a triangle.
He's listening too.
Yeah. I'll send it to him. I'll tell him. Fuck him. Submitted him in a triangle once. after that, never ever submit him in triangle ever again.
Really?
Like he just picks up on, like it's not only like, oh, now I know triangle defense. He's like, now I know your attacks for triangle.
What? So his ability to adapt so quickly.
Incredible. Pick up exactly what you're doing, the way you move, the way you do everything.
So would his fight IQ be, I guess, the highest that you've, trained against or dealt with? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So after sort of your time in the Ultimate Fighter, did you get a contract out of it? How did that work for you?
So because I didn't win the fight to get to the finale, the thing with my season is everybody lost.
Oh, right.
Yeah, everybody lost, but a couple of guys pulled out, so they had to bring 2 losers back to fight for the finale place. I was still in the comp then, so I didn't get the call back, and they'd already had their 2 to bring back. So even the 2 guys that in the finale had lost their fights. So, shit season.
It seemed like it. Dana would have been fucking off for that.
Yeah, so after there's a period after the fight, after the show films. Back then they never used to do it live, so there's a period where you had to wait. Then the show airs, and then I remember Joe Silver was a matchmaker back then, and he called me up and said, hey, listen, we bring a few guys back from the season who had lost, and we'd like to bring you back to fight. I'm like, fuck yeah. So this time I've got my own fight camp, my own team. They know how I like to get ready. And that was the thing with that, everyone's going to, like, you ask fighters, we're all got excuses for losing, right? With that fight that I did lose in the house, because I was so well experienced back then, like I'd already had a lot of fights, like more than anyone else in the show. I'd already fought Hector Lombard, who was an absolute beast back then. And I remember John Hackelman, one of the coaches, come up to me on the show going like, why the fuck are you even in this Ultimate Fighter? You should be in the UFC already. Like, your resume is better than anyone's here. Yeah. So with that, it was a good thing, but with that was a bad thing too, because they left me alone a bit more, because they thought, oh no, Kyle's got this shit handled, he's got this done. So
it's easy, he'll make it easy. Yeah,
so
right.
I like to, my fight days, I like to have a warm up during the morning, like hit the pads, blow my gas tank, calm down. Then come night time, I like to blow my gas tank again, about an hour before the fight.
Yeah, get that second wind. I used to do the same thing.
And then go out like that.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes before the fight, and I'm laying on the couch asleep. And fucking the dude comes and knocks on the door, and he's like, 10 minutes. I'm like, 10 minutes? I don't even have my fucking hands wrapped yet. My team's not even here. And next minute, like, just after that, Chuck Liddell and his team roll in, and fucking, I'm like, dude, I need my hands wrapped now. I need to hit mitts before I go out there. Yeah. I need to blow my gas before I go. I'm like, yeah, right, I'm going to put him on, and I go, all right, let's go. Kyle was like, fuck. And I went out there and fought my buddy Chris McRae, went to a draw, had an over-round time, lost in the overtime for one fucking takedown or something like that. Yeah, so that was my excuse for losing that fight.
We're sticking to it.
Yeah.
I mentioned at the start of the podcast how I really want to get into the mental preparation and mindset. And you mentioned there you like to have your pre-fight routine and your rituals that you go through. And like I've been in 2 fights in my life, both footy field fights. But they were brought out of, anger, rage, frustration, uncontrolled emotions. And that's probably what it would take for me to get into a scrap. I couldn't just be like, calm, me and you, and then let's just fight. Like it has to be like built up and that almost like that anger and rage almost. And can you talk to me about your mindset leading into a fight, and like how have you managed to harness your emotions and control your emotions and stay calm and clear? Is it something, I know you're fighting since you were a kid, is it something that you didn't realize you were doing and it's just like, you're accustomed to that sort of violence as a kid, or is it something you had to really work on?
No, it's not something I had to work on. Violence, like I was accustomed to violence early, but the violent part wasn't nothing for me, like I don't care about blood, I never cared about being cut. I remember like even into my fight career, that Ultimate Fighter, the fight before my fight, some guy got his nose completely obliterated where you look him side on and you just see a little bump at the bottom. Fuck. And that was the fight before mine. Everyone come back, they're like, oh, fuck, did you see that guy's nose? Oh, I fucking hate that to happen to me. I'm like, I don't care. It's not fucking happening to me. I'm going to go out and do that to that guy. Yeah. So violence is never really the thing for me. I guess I learned earlier on in my career sort of what emotional state I need to be in, where I won my first 4 fights in a row, I think it was, and then I started getting too relaxed and too comfortable and too happy, like on the way out.
Complacent.
Yeah, hitting people's hands. Stuff like that.
Feeding into the hype of it all. Yeah.
And then I lost that fight, and I was like, well, fuck, this is why I lost that fight, because my mindset wasn't right, So then I went to a more focused sort of, not angry, because I've fought angry before.
It doesn't work?
Doesn't work either.
Doesn't it?
No, so more of more just like focused. And the best fights for me, I know the best fights in my career when I look back and look at them through my mind's eye is even while I was fighting, and I remember instantly after the fight, it's like I don't see anything. It's when I try to remember the fight, all I can see is the cage, one light coming down on me, my opponent across from me, and that's it.
Well, you block out everything.
Everything. And they're the fights where I perform to my absolute best.
Yeah, right.
And then as soon as that fight's over, it's like someone just turns all the lights on and the crowd's there and I go, oh, fuck, there's people watching. Oh, fuck, look at this.
And that's
this
when you start
awesome.
to enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's when I
I have the same feeling, like, because I remember when I play footy, as soon as that whistle blew, it was like, to start the game, it was just like, I'm in my almost flow state. Like, I can't hear anything. Like, my mum and dad would be like, "Can you hear fucking your mum yelling on the sideline?" I was like, "Dad, I can't see you guys. I can't hear anything."
Yep.
Like, it's almost I ignore everything else. And as soon as the whistle blows, full time, game's over, I'm like, "Oh yeah, fucking how cool is this?"
Yeah.
Like, actually enjoy it and stuff like that. Yeah, it's the same sort of feeling. Yeah,
Same thing. Yeah.
So did you get better at it as you got older, or was it each fight's a different sort of process?
I think when I was the most passionate about the fight games, probably when it was the best for me, when I felt everything was all in line, I didn't give a fuck about the money, I didn't care about anything else. I think that was when it was best for me. But obviously when they start, hey, I got screwed over with my UFC contract too. I got stuck on a fucking 12-fight contract right from the Ultimate Fighter House, which they've never done again.
I was going to say, that seems like a fucking lot.
Yes. So I got stuck on fuck all money for that long. And then...
12 fights?
Yeah. I think it might have been 9 fights. It was supposed to be 9 fights or 3 years, whichever one goes the longest. And I got injured for a while, so they kept on extending the contract. So I ended up fucking on it for ages. And then when I finally got off that contract, I was like, fuck, I'm earning good money now. Oh, fuck, I'm earning good money to perform. I need to make sure I'm earning this money now. And that really fucked me as well.
Yeah, right. That's when the pressure starts coming in.
And then I was like, just give me my fucking money. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. I was old by then too. Not old, but 34, 5, 6.
Yeah. So you mentioned this before, which is interesting when it's just you and the opponent and nothing else matters. The more I educated myself around the fight game, it's just like, I just thought it was just like you guys are just fucking, teeing off on each other. But there's so much more to that. Can you talk me through like what you're actually thinking? Is it when you're lining up against someone, is it you're looking for opportunities? Are you looking for weaknesses? Like, talk me through the strategy and mind game, because when I hear fighters talk now, I'm just like, holy fuck. And they sort of replay sort of the fight and they're explaining what's going on. And to me, without them explaining it, I'm like, I can't fucking see what you're trying to do. But with them talking about it, they're like, this is what I was sort of like baiting him here to do this. And it was just, I was like, holy fuck, the mind games while you're fighting, like your head space must be so like just hyper.
It is. And I think when it is hyper, it's not good for you either.
Oh, right.
Because you're overthinking everything.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, the best ones for me are when your mind's blank and you're not thinking. And things are just flowing. Okay. When you're not thinking enough, it's not good enough. And when you're thinking too much, you're like, oh, I could have punched. Oh, I could have punched there. It's better for me anyway. It's better when I'm relaxed and I'm in that flow state where I'm not thinking at all. Things are just happening naturally. Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing like, what are the mind games? You're still thinking like I've got to do this. Yeah. He's going to do that. Yeah. Like his tendencies and stuff. Yeah. Like a whole fight camp, you go, okay, I know this guy's got, say, awesome left hook, and then after he left hook, he throws a right kick. So you're always like, okay, well, this hand's here, I'm ready for this. Yeah. When he throws that, I'm going to do that. And then after then, it's like you try and get into your flow state by keeping that in the back of your mind. Yeah. But I remember one fight, I came out against a Japanese opponent, I can't remember his name, but I was in that state, and then I went boom, straight first hit, and I smashed him with a left jab. And I remember him rocking back straight away, and the look on his face. And even the look on his face snapped me out of that flow state. I was like, fuck, I just got him real good then. And then the next minute I start thinking, and then I'm in this train of thought then. Yeah, right. It's bizarre. It's bizarre how that fucking works. Yeah. Instead of just going, bang, okay, where's the next one? Go again. Yeah. Oh, fuck, I got him, man. What's been your relationship with fear? And I'm not talking about sort of, I don't picture you someone, fearing your opponent, but in terms of like, I guess fearing failure or fearing sort of letting people down. Did that ever? Did you ever deal with that? Yep. I was a very scared kid. So all growing up, everything scared me. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Same as my son now. He's 2 years old and he's terrified of the dark. He's scared of this. He's scared of dogs. He's scared of everything. And everyone's hard on him. Like, you know, you need to do this. And I'm like, I'm not hard on him, you know, I understand it because as a kid I was scared. I was scared of fucking everything. But I got to a point where I'm like, I'm sick of being scared. I love fighting, but I was scared to fight. I was scared to fight kids at school. I was scared to fight and then I'd still do it. Then after a while, I was like, I'm sick of being scared of everything. And I guess that's what pushed me into being fighting as well, is I don't want to be scared of nothing. So now when something scares me, I do it.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm scared of it, but I'm not.
It's like good fear, because like I felt the same thing. So for years I used to walk away from fear. It's just like, if I felt fear, I'm out of there. Like, I'm fucking gone.
Me too.
And what I've realized, the more I've leaned into fear, the more, not success, but all these things start happening that you really want in life, that you used to like shy away from, and all these opportunities start happening. And it's like, oh fuck, if I didn't lean into this fear, this opportunity wouldn't have happened. And I'm doing things that are like, I was so scared doing this. I've never done it before. And I'm like, the more I leaned into it, the more like I recognize fears there, but I just don't let it affect what I'm trying to do. All these things, and I'm like, oh, actually, the other side of fear is just like success and opportunity, and like, it's just a weird thing how you just change the narrative around like what you're scared of.
I remember when I first moved to the Sunshine Coast, talking about that. I was playing football, right? So I came up here, and then I went to a training session, did really well. The Swans, I think I was playing for back then, Mauritius Swans, and then Dad came with me for the game day, and it was my first time up here, first game, and I was fucking terrified. And I was like 15, 16, but they wanted me to play under 19s. And I was like, I'll play. And then I was like, oh, Dad, I think I left my socks at home. And I knew they were in my bag, but I was that scared to play.
That you wanted out of it.
And I was like, I think that may have been one of the massive turning points for me. And I was like, what the fuck? You didn't play that game because you were too scared and you pretended your socks weren't, like talking to myself. And then the next week I went there and I fucking smashed it. I played under 19s at 15 and I fucking killed it and did really well, you know.
Yeah, and it surprises yourself and you're just like, actually, what's the point of this? Like, why was I so scared of this? It's just like that inner thought that it becomes worse than it actually is.
So a big tough fighter, and I'm scared of was scared of everything.
Not anymore.
Nah.
What's the feeling after a fight? Like, is it relief? Is it pure joy? Obviously, when you've won, is it relief? Is it, a euphoric feeling? What's it like? Is it all that?
All that.
Cash?
It's like, fuck
yeah, how good's that?
Yeah, it's like, it's all the hard work, It's like, if you put in all the hard work, you've done everything right. And it depends if you win or lose. So when you win, it's everything. It's euphoric, it's high, it's, fuck, I've done everything, you've set a game plan 12 weeks out, you've done everything to get there, you've come out, you've won, you've succeeded, and then on the flip side of that coin, it's, fuck, I put 12 weeks into this. I've just lost this fight. I gave this everything I got. And that was the thing I learned a long time ago was, as long as I can go into a fight knowing that I've done absolutely everything I can to put myself in position to win this fight, and then during the fight, I want to make sure I've done everything I can to win that fight. Like, my earlier mindset used to be, I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just going to, I want to put on a show. And you have to keep that as well. You have to remember, because you go out there and something, I don't want to lose. Then you're fighting not to lose, you're not fighting to win, And if you go out there thinking you're going to win all the time, then that's a bad mindset too. So for me, it was more like, as long as I go out there and put on the best show I can. Yeah. And I remember listening to a fighter back in the day, his name was Daniel Dawson, I think he was a kickboxer. He said, sometimes you just need to throw your heart over the wall and your body will follow. So it was the same thing, man. Somebody used to throw that heart in the cage and your body's going to follow.
Your body's going to follow it,
so just get in there and give it everything you got. That way when you walk out, if you know you've given it everything you can in that fight, then you're going to walk out there with a bit of satisfaction, like, fuck, I've done everything I can. That guy's just better than me. Back to the drawing boards.
100%.
And you don't want to walk away like, fuck, if I just trained a bit more, if I just done that in the fight, if I just did this, And
you got to make sure that your intentions are good. Like what I've experienced playing rugby was that I lived and died by my performances on the field. And if I lost a game, even if it's a team sport, if I fucking lost a game, I fucking lost the game. It was me. If we won the game, it's just like, we're the best. And it was just the highs and lows, because losing is just part of sport. And I was just like, well, how can I sort of change that? And what I did was I focused my attentions during the week. So, if I put everything on a Monday training, Tuesday training, Wednesday recovery, like if I just fucking put all that effort and focus and went to bed at night going, I got the most out of that day. Come Saturday, sort of that pressure's, gone a little bit, the confidence is high because your prep's all good. And whatever the outcome will be, like, you put your best foot forward to have the best game possible. If you lose, it's like, well, I can look back and go, well, I'm fucking proud of that week that I put in. Let's just go again for the next week. Yeah, it's what's been your biggest sort of coaches or teachers during your time? Or even people that you've trained against and with?
Yep. Biggest coaches for me, Greg Jackson, well-renowned MMA coach, phenomenal. Mike Winklejohn, both those guys very influential in my life. Another one's Joey Villasenor. He used to be my training partner, my roommate, and one of my best friends on this earth. We went to each other's, like we were there for each other fight week, helping each other get ready. He was like a big brother to me when I got to the States. So when I first moved over there, him and Holly Holm were together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they took me in, give me a free place to stay, fed me all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just absolutely looked after me.
Yeah.
Her and him. But
she's a fucking weapon as well, isn't she?
She's 43. She's a year younger than me and still fighting.
Killing it too. She's a beast, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd say the most influential person in my career would be like someone that fought and understood the game and was a coach to me was Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like being a big brother, mentor type.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's you mentioned you trained against John. Is there some other fighters that have gone on sort of when you were training with them, gone on to win belts, and you look back and go, oh, I'm not surprised at all that the success that they've had.
No,
all
no,
them,
everyone that
everyone,
has.
yeah.
The one person I'm surprised that never won a belt was Cowboy Cerrone.
Oh, right.
He used to fuck dudes up in the gym. I remember when Alistair Overeem first come to our gym. Alice was a heavyweight.
Weapon.
He was. They used to call him the Uberine back then. He was like massive. And Cowboy's 155 pound got in the ring with him. He's like, Alistair, let's go. Called him in the cage, jumped in there, and Cowboy fucked him up. That jab moved around, pop. And Alice is obviously not going to hit him 100%.
Nah.
But Cowboy outstruck him and outmaneuvered him and out everything. And
That's
Cowboy was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
Worst thing for Cowboy, though, was his mental game. If you give him a short notice fight, if they would say, Cowboy, you're fighting for the title in 2 weeks, I'd go down and put the house on him. But you give him a full camp.
Oh, what? So he worked better on short notice. Back against the wall, everyone on the line. But if you gave him like a full prep, he's like, fuck this.
Is that pressure, man? Is that too much?
Right.
Too long? Everyone's saying, you're going to do it, you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Yeah.
So I've heard from around the way that if it wasn't for some sort of big injuries, you would have been a champ.
I fucking played with injuries.
Yeah. So what were some of the injuries that you've had, and I guess how much did it impact not only the body but the mind too?
Mm-hmm. For us, like when you have the major injuries, say you blow your knee out or your hand, like I've broken my hands and wrists and ligaments and shoulder surgeries and all that. It's not a matter of just like, okay, surgery's 3 to 6 months off, and then after that you can start working again. So you can't fight again for another year, basically, because you have the 3 to 6 months off, and then it's another 6 months to build it back up strong enough. Not just strong enough to run or to do something, but to withstand. Say you blow your knee, like I've torn my meniscus and MCL and patella tendon, everything all off the one side where my kneecap was over here, right? So it's not getting it strong enough to run on again. It's getting it strong enough so someone can kick that as hard as they want, and it's not going to affect me. So you have a lot of time off. So I was, like every time I got to a point where like, fuck this, I'm doing well, I'm going to, I win this fight, I'm going to do this, injury in training, kill me.
Really? Is that your biggest one, the knee?
No, my biggest one, which the doctor said would be a fight-ending injury, which it wasn't. I tore the ligaments in, like tiniest thing, right? Tore a ligament that hangs over here, and it's around that scaphoid might be. No.
Yeah.
Is that in your hand? I can't remember.
I'll play footy.
It's a little ligament that goes across there, and I tore mine completely, where every time I punched it hurt. So what they had to do was put these big metal rods going down here and here, and one across there and one across there.
Well, you still have him in now?
No, but they had him in there for 4 months straight.
Oh, fuck.
So I couldn't move my hand for 4 months. And everything's just sort of atrophy. You can see it now. It's kind of smaller than this one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bend past there.
Yeah.
So the doctor's like, you won't fight again, mate. I did, though. So this injury was bad, and I should have had more time off. But then the UFC called me and said, hey, we're putting an Ultimate Fighter show on Australia versus Canada. We want you to be the Australian coach.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, hey, listen, I just had surgery. That's all right. I'll probably be healed by then. They're like, yeah, that's fine. No worries. So right before the show started filming, I got the cast off. My hands were still sore, still busted. Did the whole show, and then I had to fight Patrick Cote at the end of the show, the finale.
So I was going to ask you, so is that the theme of the show? Because I was like, you're just a coach, you're not going to fight. But do you have to fight at the end? Is that part of the...
Most of the time back then, depends what show they do, depends what weight classes, but most of the time the two coaches fight each other.
Oh, right.
And then the two contestants from either side or from one side, whoever gets to the finale, they fight each other. But yeah, I literally just started punching on this hand like 4 to 6 weeks before the fight, lightly, and it wasn't until right up until the fight that I actually could hit pretty hard. And then I go out into the fight to fight Patrick Cote. It was the co-main event in Canada. I walk out, we shape up, first right hand I hit him with. I could just feel the whole thing snap, and this knuckle snap clean in half down there, all the way along there like a big spiral fracture. I could feel it straight away. But so that just ruined my right hand for the rest of the fight. But afterwards, I had to have there's a plate in there now. There's a big screw sticking out there still.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So this hand's taught a lot of
the fight game, eh?
Yeah.
Fucking
Good
hell.
fun, huh?
Yeah, it's good fun. I thought footy was fucking bad on the body. So there's a time that comes for all professional athletes when, you know, you feel the end is near, and that word retirement sort of slips in to the mind. And was there a moment for you, whether it be in a fight or at training, when that thought of like, yeah, fuck, I'm not up to that standard that I used to be, or the standard that I need to be to keep doing it?
Yeah, my last couple of fight camps didn't feel right. I felt like I was always behind. I felt I was like sluggish. I wasn't getting as fit as I should be. And then obviously it's hard to pull the pin then because I've just got a new contract and I'm getting good money now. So now I've got to fight. I've got a little daughter on the way.
And that's the thing, man, because you've gone through the evolution of UFC where it's like not the best money. Yeah. And then as you've gotten a bit older, you're like, fucking hell, this is actually pretty hard to say no, isn't it?
Yep. And even at that point I was homesick. I had a partner back home, baby on the way, had to be in America, didn't want to be there. So all these things are adding up. I'm not getting fit anymore. I'm feeling like I'm just behind the 8 ball, you know. And then my third last fight, I lost it, but everyone thought, the whole community, MMA community thought I won it. And that was a bit of disappointment. But then lost my next fight, and then the last fight, I remember being in the fight. It's the same thing again. As a late notice opponent changed for me. They ended up changing it to one of my main training partners from Albuquerque who just moved to another gym, a Russian guy named Amari, and he's a fucking awesome guy. I love training with him. And then they're like, yeah, you have to take this fight. And Amari calls me up and he's like, Kyle, they want me to fight. You know, I don't want to take the fight, but I've just lost my last couple of fights. They said if I don't take this fight, they're going to kick me out. I'm like, fuck, I can't say no either. So we were both in a position where we couldn't turn the fight down.
It's fucking brutal, eh? That's the industry itself.
Yeah,
it's just like,
and we're conspiring, like, oh, maybe one of us can have an injury or something. He's like, yeah, my manager told me I can't have an injury. They'll kick me out too. Like, I'm at that point.
Like, it's got to happen.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I'm about to have a kid as well. I need the money. So I was like, fuck it, man, let's just go out there and fight.
Just tee off.
Yeah. And I don't even remember in that fight, I just didn't feel like being there.
Yeah.
Could have been because of him, but it could have also, like, I just felt like I was a bit behind the 8 ball. I wasn't fast. I wasn't recovering like I should be. So that during the fight, I knew I didn't know I was going to retire before the fight. During the fight, I knew I was going to retire. As soon as the fight was over, like, I'm fucking done. I can't do this shit anymore.
Yeah. And how challenging is it to keep that motivation and also thinking about the sacrifice? You know, you got a family at home and keep the discipline in arguably one of the, you know, the toughest fucking sports going around. How challenging is it?
Super hard.
It's
fucking hard.
Yeah,
man.
it's taxing.
Like, yeah. And I didn't even realise I was homesick till I retired and came home. And I remember driving down one of the streets here in Sunshine Coast and just looking around, like, how fucking beautiful is this place? And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is what I've been missing. This is what I need, you know? Didn't even realise that was another factor on top of everything else.
Everything else, you're missing home. Yeah.
I've been in America for so long. I've been over there for 10 years straight and just came here for holidays, you know, after every fight I'd come back for 2 weeks and then
go back straight
over.
Yeah, right. And that transition sort of out of professional fighting and professional sport itself, like I know so many of my mates that have had that transition out of rugby and a lot of players struggle with it, man. Like it's that routine. Like, you know where you got to be every day. It's the adrenaline, like going from playing on TV and that ultimate challenge against another team. Yeah, you go and playing from TV to doing that 9 to 5 where no one fucking cares who you are. Like, How was that transition for you? Did you stay in the game, or did you sort of coach as well, or was it a completely take a break from it all?
I had a bit of a break, not too long, and then my brother at the time had an MMA gym here in the coast, and obviously we sort of planned it earlier on that when I'd come back to Australia, I'd help him run the gym. So I started doing that with him. I loved coaching, met some great guys doing it. I still coach a few guys today. One guy in particular, John Fraser, is fighting end of August in Gold Coast, at the Gold Coast.
You coach him, do you?
Yeah, as much as I can. I used to a lot more. I pulled it back right back now.
Yeah.
He's too good for me now.
Is he?
No, he's younger than me. He's faster than me. I always say I can get him at the start of camp where he's unfit because I maintain a good level of fitness now. I'll bash him at the start, but then as soon as he starts getting fit, like a couple of weeks into his fight camp, he starts turning it on.
Yeah, right.
I'm cooked,
oh shit.
I'm done,
So is that what life looks like now on the coast? Are you sort of doing a bit of training, bit of coaching?
Yeah, no, I like we started the gym.
Yeah,
that was doing all right. It wasn't doing super good, but it was all right. I had my eldest daughter at the time. I was sharing her week on, week off with the mum. COVID hit. I was ready to get out of the gym anyway. I'd had enough of it. COVID hit, and then I was like, shit, this is my excuse because my daughter's about to start school. If I'd stay at the gym now, because I teach predominantly at night times at the gym and then, like one day on the weekend, I was like, if I stay doing this, I'm only ever going to see my daughter every second weekend. Even though I have her during the week, I won't be home till she's in bed. So when COVID hit, it was a blessing for me. I'm like, fuck, let's close the gym down. I'm out. I'm done. But I was like, oh, no, we can do this, we can do that. So listen, you can do this and that. I said, I'm going. I've had enough.
I need this.
I'm not going to sacrifice. I've sacrificed my whole life for my fight career. I'm not going to sacrifice my daughter now to pursue this gym, so.
It's the lessons from Steve, I guess. Yeah.
No chance in the world I'm going to see her every second weekend. So shut the gym down. At that time, COVID and no one was working, so I started roofing. I was lucky enough, my buddy came in, owned a roofing business. He's like, yeah, I'll give you some job, I'll give you work. And I was doing that for a while, enjoying it. And then my brother was in the disability sector, working for a company down in Brisbane. And his client, who's been part of our family since he was like for the last 20 years, and my brother looked after him before my other brother. And he rings me up and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm about to get on a fucking roof, but it might start raining, so I don't know whether they're going to let us on there or not. I don't know what's going on. He's like, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm fucking down the beach with his client and a couple of other friends, and we're all having a good time. And I'm like, fuck, I want to be there. And I remember that going, he goes, he's looking for more work. Like, you can come do this job, and it's paying better than what I was doing on the roof.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, my mate does it.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck this. Give me that job. And then a couple of days later, he's like, yep, you got it. So I said to my mate, I'm out, man. He's like, yeah, no worries. So I went down, started working for this company down in Brisbane, but we were based up here. And they were just a shit company. They don't care about their clients. They weren't doing nothing for him. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to look after these guys. I'm going to give people with disabilities, especially around the coast here, a better opportunity at life. Like, they weren't doing nothing for him. So what I like to do with my clients now is I make sure that we go fishing, we go camping, we get them out. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start a camp now where I take clients that aren't even my clients because they had funding there for respite. So I'm going to take them away, teach them how to fish, teach them how to light a fire, make some rope, like just activities that these young men and even men should be doing anyway.
Those primal activities,
Stuff they don't get the opportunity to do. Because most of the carers on the coast, they don't care what they're doing with them. They just hang around the house,
just the bare
take them to the
minimum,
plaza,
Oh, I love that,
Stick a fishing rod in their hand, see how they go. Like,
and they love it,
take them on a boat, do all this stuff that we all do.
Because I was saying to Jordan, my fiance, the other day, because we were talking about sort of having kids, and I was like, some of my best memories, growing up is when I used to go camping at Stradbroke Island or Fraser Island, or there's a bit of a farm out at Kenilworth we used to go, and like, there used to be my favourite times. No phone, no reception, no TV, nothing. It was just like, Dad was like 6 a.m. when the sun came up, it was just like, I'll see you back later tonight. And you just go off and you just adventure and fish and hunt and just do whatever you can.
Yeah, that's how we grew up. We're home by the lights. Home the street lights come on.
That's it. You strike me as someone that needs a challenge in their life.
Yeah.
What's the challenge? Obviously, you talked about your business. Is there something personal or professional that you're sort of striving towards?
Right now, I'm trying to. My next goal is I want to buy a property out of town and have a facility out there where I can take people like for work to have a gym out there for them, have activities for him to do, everything like that. So that's my next goal, and I'm kind of focused on that right now.
Yeah.
Personal life. Get better at surfing.
Is that
yeah. Not much.
Surely after all these years, you must be good now, surely.
No, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm all right. I got to hold the rails and stand up, push like that because my wrist doesn't bend, so I can't push off the middle.
Of course, you can't push off the middle.
So every now and then I still slide off this side.
Well, I was going to ask you, how is the body? I know you're a bit of a weapon at Revel, I see. Is that what you need? You need to keep your...
Absolutely.
Because I remember I did my leg and I had a year off.
Mm-hmm.
It was the worst thing ever for me because coming back from having that year off, I was like, this is fucked. Like I should have just kept going. And now that I know, knowing what I know now, it's like I can't have time off. No. I just have to. I have to keep doing something. Like my fiance's like, just have a week off or something. I'm like, I work out in the mines. Like that's my week that I have. As soon as I come to the coast, I do something every single day. Yep. I need to sort of do something every single day. Is that the same for you?
Exactly the same.
Yeah. 2
reasons. If I have, say, a week, so I have 2 weeks off, my body starts hurting.
Yeah, mine starts aching and shit too.
I've got to keep all those little muscles firing, make sure everything's working. If I've got a sore shoulder, everyone's like, oh, you should rest your shoulder. No, I need to do more on my shoulder, and then it starts feeling better. And the other thing is, if I have too much time off not doing anything, I'm annoying everyone at the house. They're like, oh, get out of the fucking house, go to the gym. When I used to be fighting, especially in fight camp, because you're training 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. I used to train up 7 times a day.
That's mental, eh?
Sometimes, in a fight camp. So if I wasn't training, I'm around the house, I start poking, annoying everyone, and just getting on everyone's nerves. And
that's funny because Jordan says the same thing. She's like, can you go to the gym? And I'm like, what? She's like, you're starting to piss me off, go to the gym. And I'm like, oh yeah, righto. That's funny. Do you look back at your fighting career and have any regrets? Are you someone that has regrets or things you would have done differently if you had the time again, or are you someone that sort of accepted what's happened and moved on? Yeah,
I pretty much accept the past for what it is. You know, I know I can't change it. So I guess my answer is no. I don't really dwell on it. I don't really. There's nothing I would change.
Nothing. Good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have this thought of like, what if I, gave off the piss when I was playing footy, or what if I fucking didn't have certain injuries? I wonder where I would have ended up. But at the same time, I love my life now. Like I wouldn't change anything. Like I love where I am. I love who I am. I love the people in my life. So as soon as that sort of what if comes in, I'm like, but that could change, the whole trajectory of life. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So
what if you got off the piss and something else happened to you because you were off the piss?
Exactly. So there's all that butterfly effect. So that's the thing, just accepting what's happened and move on. So I've got quick fire questions to end this chat. So you can answer them as quickly or as long as you want. Righto. What are your 3 non-negotiables that you need in your life every day to be the best version of yourself? Just 3.
So I've probably got none.
Oh, don't you?
I'm the easiest fucking going person in the world.
Well, you need to train.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I need to train.
Family time.
I need to see my kids and my partner.
Is that your me time, sort of training?
Training, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my me time.
You decompress.
I'm fucking easy, man. My friends all at school used to call you too fucking, all my ex-girlfriends, you're too fucking easy going. You don't care about nothing. But I care about the important things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Training, fucking, I don't know. Family. Yeah, nothing really. So I'm a boring person, aren't I?
That's all right, mate. You're not actually. So this is probably a question that I know that some sort of parents and that are listening and what does MMA and what does Jiu-Jitsu teach you?
Discipline, respect, self-confidence. Like we spoke about me fighting a lot as a kid. As soon as I started training professionally, I never had a fight again in the street unless I had to defend myself.
Really?
Yep. Like I never, in saying that, I never started a fight. Like I was never a bully and looking to fight anyone.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a fucking bully or anything like that.
And I could walk away. Once I started fighting, I could walk away a lot easier. I could be like, someone would want to fight me, and I could laugh and walk away. Like, I don't want to fight you. Like,
so why's that? Because
I guess I got all the energy out of me. 1, 2, I knew I could fight.
Yeah, you knew what would happen.
I didn't have to prove myself to anyone or anything, So I knew what would happen. It was easy for me to walk away. Like, why am I going to fight some bum in the street? There's no competition for me.
It means nothing.
I can go fight someone here. But I have had fights before where I've had to defend myself.
Yeah. But it gives you I guess it gives you that sense of direction and purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Learning that new skill. And it's funny because
you know, I'm sure you're still learning now. Like
Yep.
you're still training, you're still learning. No matter all the years you have, it's almost like that. It never ends. That learning curve of jiu-jitsu. Like you can
absolutely
always
not.
be humbled. I
got my old students now. I'm Jordan Scouse as a student of mine. His technique now is phenomenal. Where I'm rolling with him, I'm like, Jordan, fucking show me that. Let's do that. And now I'm like, I almost want to go, Jordan, give me a one-on-one. And
you teach me.
give me all these skills, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't have to rely on my strength anymore. Like,
Yeah.
he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's only a brown belt now. And I've been a black belt for fucking God knows how many years. And then a purple belt. I was a purple belt for 9 years. For people that understand jiu-jitsu.
It is a long process to get get your belts. It's not like, you know, some other ones that you can just move up pretty quickly.
An online course or something. That's why they call you. Once you get to black belt, they call you professor because you've spent 6 to 8 years to
dedicated to it. How do you define success in your life?
My success, fucking happiness is success for me, man. Whenever, just content, being happy. It's not winning anything. It's not accolades. It's not anything else for me. It's if you're happy what you're doing and you really enjoy what you're doing, that's success. There's no greater success than that. Being happy in your own life. Yeah.
Do you think you're successful? In
Yes.
that terms? Yeah.
I think I am.
We talked about fear. What's your deepest fear now, if there is one?
I don't know if I have a deepest fear. Don't know. No, I'm not. I'm scared of sharks, but I still spearfish and I still surf.
So
And that's the thing is like, okay, if I'm scared of them, then I'm going to get in the water and spearfish.
Yeah, you're not letting it
stop
you from doing things in life. Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of morbid, but my deepest fear is obviously something happening to my children.
Yeah.
Where I'm fucking, sometimes I'll lay awake where I can't sleep and be like, what if this happened to him? What if that happened? What the fuck am I thinking this for? Stop thinking that. And then you start thinking about more and more and more.
So is that fatherhood? Is that what I'm looking forward to? Is it?
Yeah. That's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
And also the scariest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
What if they run out on the road one day and you're like 2 seconds behind and grab them, car comes along?
I think about that all the time.
Your head just goes like this.
So I'm living near Chambers Island of Bradman Ave there.
Yep.
And we were driving down the road and this girl was going slow. And I see this girl. She would have been 4 or 5 years old. She comes waddling onto Bradman Ave traffic and just got a toy in her hand and is just sitting around. And I'm like, and my fiance Jordan, she's jumped out of the car trying to find like whose house this was, and I'm just like, holy fuck, like parents would have looked away for a second, and the kids get onto the road, and I'm just like,
1 second,
that terrifies me. Like,
I've got a 3-year-old and 2-year-old. They're almost 4 and 3, but you put one in the car seat, you got to make sure that, like, I'm trying to watch the other one the whole time. I don't run around the other side of the fucking road. Like,
what are your kids like? You mentioned, is it your youngest is like, or your boy's like you? Or is it?
Yeah, when he's scared like me.
Yeah.
Looks like me.
Looks like
he's
you.
got Brooks, my partner's mouth, my eyes, my everything, her colour hair. But
are they into fighting? Are they into jiu-jitsu? What are they?
My eldest daughter, Isla, she's really, really good at jiu-jitsu. She's done a lot of it. And then after a while, she's my angel. She's like, Dad, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore. I'm like, why, darling? She's like, oh, it's too mean. Like, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to do something. I'm like, that's fine, darling. You know, we'll have a break from it. And if when you want to come back, you can come back. My 4-year-old, she's going to be 4 in 2 weeks. She's a fucking menace. She's a terror. She's non-stop from the time she wakes up to the time she goes to bed. She's just annoying everyone. Like, she's someone that needs to, I'm going to have to take her surfing before school every morning just so she can sit down in school.
Yeah, just to calm a little bit.
She beats my 8-year-old girl up. She beats up the young fella. She's always pushing him, shoving him, pulling everyone, hitting everyone. She's an absolute menace.
Can't wait till she's 18,
Yeah, I was actually thinking a couple of days ago I'm going to get like a tattoo to represent them all, but I don't want like something traditional. So I was thinking like for my daughter Isla to be a triangle because she's stable no matter what. She's calm, you know. For Ellie, the middle one, would be a circle because she can never be balanced. She's always fucking. And then my youngest son maybe an octagon or something because he's kind of a mix of both. He can be balanced.
Oh, I love that. That's cool.
So like have them lined up with I don't know.
What's one thing that you miss most about fighting?
Friendship.
Yeah. Okay.
No, a couple of things actually that I think about. I miss my teammates. I miss the freedoms that we had over there. Obviously, because I'd never worked a 9 to 5. I've been a professional athlete since I left the zoo at 26 years old. So just having that camaraderie and everyone training together for a purpose, and then the fun we used to have outside of training, you know, like fucking cowboy, hey, let's go to the lake. Yep, off we go to the lake, spur of the moment, let's do this. I remember being in Chicago once and was training there at Israel Martinez wrestling camp there, and Izzy comes running downstairs one night. It was a Friday night or Thursday night, I think, and he's like, there's a big fucking blizzard here for Chicago, you know, we're going to be snowed in all weekend. And I'm like, fuck, what are we going to do? He's like, well, we could stay here for the blizzard, or there's cheap flights to Jamaica right now for fucking $500 return. And we're like, fuck, let's go.
Let's go to the Bahamas.
Like, yep, we got Clay Guidas on board, John Jones. John Jones is NFL brothers, a couple of their mates, and we're all going. We leave tonight. We're like, fuck, let's go. Packed our bags, all flew to Jamaica for the weekend.
How rowdy was it?
Fuck,
it was rowdy.
It was.
Yeah, we can't tell that on the podcast, I don't think.
We actually had a mansion on the top of a big cliff where we'd throw all our snorkeling gear off the cliff and then just
straight in.
Pick the gear up, snorkel around the cliffs. And we had like a little, a few of the guys smoke weed, a few of us did. So there'd be a security guard. His job was just to sit there and roll joints 24/7 for all the guys that smoked. You're in Jamaica, what are you going to do?
It just looks back and just like, that's the time of your life, eh?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Just no care in the world. Jake Matthews was another one that came with us. He was over there training with me because I got him from the show. So he came up and trained with us. And
fuck, that's wild, eh?
Yeah.
Last one. What advice would you give a young kid, either going into sports or even, you know, wanting to make a career out of it, or just in life in general? Like, what advice would you give to them?
What advice would I give them? Train hard. Like, everyone says train hard, right? Train with purpose. Train with the passion. Dedicate your life to it. Like, people say don't put all your eggs in one basket. Put all your eggs in one fucking basket. If you want to do it, put all your fucking eggs in that basket. Because it's better to walk away from that going, you know what, I gave that everything I fucking had to do that sport. I'm happy with what I gave it, than to walk away be going like, you know, if I just done this, or fuck, if I, you know, I wish I had, like people that say to me, oh, you know, I could afford, or I could have done this. Well, why don't you fucking do it? Like, try it. It's better to walk away and say, you know what, at least I gave it a fucking go, than to walk away going, oh, what if, or I could have, or should have, or that, and stay off the alcohol.
Stuff. Yes.
Like we spoke about before.
That's the thing, is like so many young kids coming through. It's just like that temptation to go out and drink, and also realise the sacrifices. I remember like I had a Queensland Reds player came into my club when I was like 15 or 16, and that's what he said to me too. He was just like, be prepared to make the sacrifices. And I was like 15, 16. I was like, I live at home. What sacrifices do I have to make? Like, I'm living the life. Like, and he was like, just letting you know, you're going to miss birthdays. Like, if you want this, you're going to miss birthdays. You're going to miss events. You're going to miss, you know, nights out with your friends. You're going to miss bonding sessions, or you know, nights out with your friends that they all talk about still today. You're going to miss that. And you're going to have to realise, like, is it worth it for you? If it's not worth it, don't even fucking bother doing it. But if you want this, these are the things. And I was like 16, and I was like, holy shit. So, like, the amount of things that I missed that I got, you know, fucking not teased for, but I was like, oh, Elliot's not coming out. And I'm just like, I got fucking kicking practice at Saturday morning. And if I, you know, like, because I want to get good at kicking off my left and right, because it would give me another shot at making teams. And it did. Like, all the things that sort of happened, all the sacrifices, it did pay off in the end. And I look back on it, and I got mates that we sort of talk about, like, oh, remember that time? Oh, Elliot, that's right, you weren't there, you were doing that thing. And I was like, yeah, but, you know, I fucking loved where my life ended up. Like, it was all worth it for me.
Yeah, I miss weddings. My best friend's wedding.
Did you?
One of my very best friends who grew up in Dubbo, moved to the Sunshine Coast. I missed his wedding. Couldn't go to it. I was like, no, I'm going to fight camp. I'm not going to do it. I had to fly back from America for it, but I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Birthdays, everything, Christmas, everything.
It's crazy. So I've got a closing tradition where I don't ask the last question. I get loved ones, whether it be family members, close friends, they send in questions for the guests. Right. And what I love about you and your friends is that everyone likes to take the absolute piss out of you. Yep. So I've got, is it James Tahuna?
James Tahuna, yeah.
James Tahuna.
He's an ex-UFC fighter too.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weapon as well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Big old Māori guy.
Yeah.
Awesome dude.
He's funny, He goes,
thanks, James.
He goes, how did doing bicep curls in your warm-up before you walked out help you with each fight?
You know, James, it's that look good, feel good, fight good.
Yeah.
You know,
that was my thing playing footy. My thing was look good, play good.
He should know. He knows. He came out to Men in Black once, and him and all his homies dancing.
I seen
yeah.
that. That was like the Israel sort of fucking like all that pre-fight sort of stuff. Yeah, that was
I think he's one of the
hilarious.
first ones in UFC to do it.
Just
to
start
actually
doing
let
it.
him do something
Yeah,
like that.
the entertainment side of
And
it.
by far the coolest one of it.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He looks like a bad motherfucker too, doesn't he?
He's a bad motherfucker.
I got Greg Jackson.
Jeez.
Sent you something. He goes, how did you get so handsome? and he goes, Kyle will understand. What's he on there? Is he poking a bit of fun at you? Is he?
No, Greg's just an awesome man.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome human being. I can't help it, Greg. I was just born devilishly good looking. I can't help it.
Well, the face
It's
ended
the
up
big-
all
it's the
right
big
after
chin.
fighting, didn't
Yeah.
it?
I think I got rearranged to a better shape probably.
So I've got your training partner, John Fraser.
Yep.
He's got two.
This could be R-rated too, by the way.
Well, I don't understand this first one, so
No one can understand a word he says anyway, so it doesn't matter.
where is it? Can you ask him to explain the anti-drip technique? What's that? Is that
So-
R-rated? Is it?
This can go. No, this is not R-rated.
Okay.
This can go back to some of the giving advice to someone,
Yeah.
a younger person. And this is look bad for John, not me, really. So
Sorry, John.
yeah, sorry, John. So John, and John said this is something that he got asked this question, the best advice he ever got given. And he said he wished when he was doing a podcast, he wished he told him this advice. Okay. So my old man told me, like, if you're doing a piss, you're doing a wee, like sometimes you dribble in your pants afterwards.
Yeah. I know
So
exactly
if-
where you're going here. I know exactly.
So if you lift your scrotum up and you push on that little area underneath that scrotum, after you do a wee, it stops the
it tricks
wee
it.
from- Yeah. So you won't dribble in your pants anymore and do all that. And John was telling me, he's like, boy, every time I do a piss, I get a little bit of piss in my pants. I can't fucking stop it. I'm like, do this. And he's like,
It
a
fucking
couple of days
works.
later, because Dre's like, fuck, you wouldn't believe it, boy. It just worked. It's done. It's the best advice I've ever been
Fuck.
given.
That's funny because me and my mates have had the same conversation. Sometimes you got to trick it and
Yeah.
put it in and out.
You know, that's old man wisdom.
Yeah, old man wisdom.
You got onto it young then.
Yeah. We were sitting there and drinking one day and we were like, does that happen to you? Yeah, we all happen to
Yeah.
So one other one he's got is, what's been the biggest influence on you being a father?
Steve,
big
spoke
time.
about that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Last one
From Brooke.
from Brooke.
Yeah.
Do you know this one?
Oh, I didn't know you had this tradition. And she's like,
Did she tell you?
she's like, oh, yeah, such and such. Elliot asked me for a question, blah, blah, blah. It's something traditionally does that they don't tell the guest about. She's like,
Oh.
And then all weekend she's like, what am I going to say? I
Yeah.
said, I don't know, darling. You can't ask me.
It's so funny.
And
'cause
then last
people-
night she goes, I've got it.
Do you know it?
No.
She goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your surfing skills? Have they gotten better?
They have gotten better lately.
Yeah, nice.
So my good friend of mine, Nigel Ainsley, owns Ainsley Surfboards. Been making me surfboards since before I could surf.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I've been pretty lucky in that
Yeah.
aspect. Used to do all right on the surfboard. Like the biggest thing was me so much time off in between surfing.
And it's that thing too, you need to keep doing it, otherwise
Oh,
you just get back on it again. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, I used to be good at this.
Yeah, I could surf when I was 20, and then because I spent so long in America in the desert, come home and I can't surf again. So I started getting all right again, and then just not doing real well, but I got a lot bigger and didn't realise. And then my mate Pete Mason, he's like, you need a fucking bigger surfboard. So you're riding this little 6-foot board, and it's got no volume, it's got no leaderage. So I ring up Nigel, he's over in Bali now, he's got a factory over there. I was like, man, I need a new surfboard. This one's, he's like, yeah, man, what do you want? I'll get you a big one this time. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. He's
perfect.
like, yeah, this is fucking. So Nigel makes me this big 6'6", still like small shape. But now that I ride that, I can fucking carve it. So I'm going to rate myself a 10 now, bro.
What's your local? It wouldn't be Alex, would it? Or was it?
No, I'm down in Curramundi right now.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
Curramundi,
love
yeah.
Ann Street there.
Yeah, perfect.
I love that. And then Pete's always dragging me to Cardi, so I go to Cardi's.
Yeah, nice. Been a pleasure, mate. It's been so good chatting to you, getting to know you a little bit, and you're such a good, genuine, down-to-earth person, mate, and really love your outlook on life and the things you've gone through, mate. I've learned so much from you, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Mind Your Head. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really supports the show and helps others discover us. Don't forget to join us on Instagram and TikTok at mindyourhead.podcast.